Andy Vasquez is back from NJ.com with us today. And Andy, um, how concerned should I be as a fan on this offense's performance on Saturday?
Well, I mean, it's definitely. I think it's too early for panic because it's not. They're not game planning for the Giants. It's going to be different when they have a specific plan against a team. I think that's fair enough to think that the Giants could have maybe done some things to make life difficult on Fields because they knew he wasn't going to attack them specific ways. But and the way that training camps kind of stacked up, there's always going to be a disadvantage for the offense, and then especially a guy who likes to run because it's just not, really like that in camp where you're getting these situations where he's probably trying to get through all of his reads and then, that his first priority isn't developing the feel that he already has of when and when not to leave the pocket. So I think there's some stuff working against him that makes it look worse than it might be. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they've thrown the ball down the field he's thrown the ball down the field more than 20 yards in the last 2 weeks of practice. So it's not just like the game. It's it's concerning because like how is this offense going to work? I think it's encouraging that like the Giants had to know the run was coming because they called 10 out of 11 or 11 out of 12 run plays or 10 out of 12 and ran it 11 out of 12 times on that scoring drive. But and they were able to move the ball against a good defensive line, but that's not going to work every week. So yeah, I mean, I would be mildly to moderately concerned because it's starting to look like what they're trying to find a version that's between him last year in Pittsburgh where he just tried to dink and dunk and stay in the pocket, and the guy in Chicago who bolted from the pocket and was a real dangerous run threat and threw the ball down the field, but very dangerously. And right now, there's not a happy median. So that would be my concern is that this transition is taking is more complex and taking longer than they want, and the regular season starts less than 3 weeks.
You know, it. I, I saw a post by Legiducible where he kind of broke down an all 22 version of a particular play. It was the out route to Garrett Wilson where Fields was late on the throw. He was late on. He's been late on just about every throw. But I if you listen to fans, it's just Justin Fields sucks, and I can't go down that route yet because I think it's the offense as a whole. There's so many parts to this offense that are not gelling, and this video, this breakdown that Ledger Doozable really highlighted that you had an issue where Membu's laid out of his stance because he's trying to communicate with AVT. Burns comes around the corner basically untouched. Braylon Allen sees it in the backfield. It basically steps right in front of Justin Fields. And if Justin Fields throws the ball on time, he basically potentially breaks his hand on Braylon Allen's helmet. So everything is out of sync. It's not just Justin Fields. And I just hope that it's an issue with them trying to learn a new offensive system. Everything's new for these guys. Everything's new for Justin Fields. Everything's new for the offensive line, the guys that were there last year. It's a whole new blocking scheme. But I do like what you said, where you kind of scrimmaged against these guys all week. They knew the run was coming, and you still moved the ball effectively running. So that is at least the positive I can take out of this. Um, what are your thoughts on Aaron Glenn's post game comments or the comments at halftime? Um, he clearly wasn't happy, wanted to get the team to play better in the second half, and it didn't happen. So where are you
Yeah,
sitting with that?
I thought it's interesting because we've seen previous coaches who wouldn't have been that critical of anything in their performance just because they wouldn't want it to kind of boomerang back on them. And he's so early in the game that I don't know what is that if he says that after a game in November after they've lost three in a row. How is that going to go over with us? How is that going to go over with the fans? I don't really know. It's one of those things where like Ulbrich kind of said stuff like that and it was like yikes.
I
Like
could
dude,
say
what
from a fan
like
perspective, I'm going to love every second of it. If they play poorly, burn them at the podium. Burn the
yeah.
players at the podium. That's my perspective. Keep them
But
accountable. But
he's pretty vague in terms of like specific criticism. Like he'll criticize the
mhm.
team. I don't know if he's going to jump on guys. I mean, I think that's a tough balance. I think he's handled everything very well. I thought he handled that well. Um, you know, it's always interesting because like he clearly does not like all the questions about Fields, and I thought he'd get perturbed about some of the questions about Fields. And like I think we try to also not put him in a like I don't we're not out there like asking questions that we want him to like, but like I also want to get a functional answer. So I think the other
Yeah.
guys feel the same way. So when there were some questions the other night when you ask about the passing game in general, when he had already said he didn't want to talk about Fields, where he could have been, you know, less than friendly, and he was fine. He gave an open answer, and I think the fact that he is criticized, I like that he's critical of the team. I think it's going to be interesting, like I said, in certain cases where it just starts to be hollow if it doesn't get fixed. So that's where it's going to be interesting. But we're so early, we don't know. Maybe he is going to fix a lot of this stuff. I've been impressed with him overall. I think he's done a good job of striking the right tone when it needed to be struck. Done a good job of striking a different tone than you think he's going to strike. Like when they had that terrible the terrible green and white scrimmage, everybody thought he was going to kind of ream out the team, and he comes in and talks about how much his opportunity means to him, and it hit him that day. And I don't think that's by accident. And I also think part of being a head coach is messaging and putting the right things out there, not just because you're playing the media game, because your players like need to hear that, not just in the locker room, but like out there too. And maybe he thought that he didn't want his quarterback getting heat. Maybe he thought the players didn't need heat. Maybe he didn't want the heat. But whatever the reason is, until it's like what he's saying is obviously false and like a smokescreen, or not true, or not constructive,
Hmm.
or covering his own rear end instead of for the best of the team, like he can message however he wants to message, and I won't have a problem with it. I think that's part of being a good coach, and part of enforcing accountability, and part of getting everybody, including the fan base, to buy in.
Is there any indication yet that the starters are going to play in the third preseason game? Because I expected, and I think a lot of us expected, at least the first team offense to play more than 2 drives. So I don't know if they are worried from an injury aspect, with Tyrad potentially not playing, that they don't want to put Justin Fields out there for that long. But I just feel like they need more reps. No?
I'm with. I mean, if you're going to play them in the preseason like they are, like I don't think we've seen enough. I think Fields is 4 for 9.
Yeah.
Um, like we know they can run the ball, but I think you want to see more from the passing offense. But I would say, like, where Fields before the first preseason game talked about how important it was to play the preseason. When he was asked if he wanted to play in the last preseason game on Saturday night, he just said, "I don't know. It's up to coach." So I don't know if there's been a decision made. Reading the tea leaves, it doesn't seem like it's been relayed to the players, which would, or it's a no. Um, but it could always change. My guess would be, I mean, I think they should, but I have a feeling it's a no.
They usually don't.
Yeah, especially
Usually
because
the
the third is
second.
the last. You're 2 weeks before they'll be 16 days before the start of the regular season at that point.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would do it. I would get him out there for one more series, leave on a good note. And I think part of what happened probably, coaches are always tempted when the offense scores to take them out of the game. And if they hadn't scored, like if Braylon Allen doesn't on 3rd and 8 doesn't run for 11 yards, I bet they're coming out for a third series. Um,
I was
on
shocked with
that
the play
second
call
drive.
there on
Yeah.
that one. I
So
mean, I love Braylon. He's
yeah,
I can't say enough good things about Braylon, but I was very shocked about on that play call.
yeah, it was surprising, but it worked.
Yeah. Um, from a defensive perspective, they had a lot of guys out for little dings and nicks or what have you. So you can't I can't take too much stock out of what I saw from the defensive side of the ball when the Giants had their first team offense out there. It's so hard to judge at this point. I think the defense is going to be the strength of the team. So ground and pound defense wins games. I think is back on the table. Going back to the Rex Ryan days. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, obviously with the issues the Jets have had at safety over the last couple of years, I don't, it's hard to tell exactly what happened on the long play, but that's a little bit of a concern
Hmm.
because, Cisco and Stiggers got, um, you know, mixed up there pretty badly. And it's hard to tell exactly whose fault it was, but that's just something to watch. But yeah, I mean, it's a different game when you have, arguably their top four defenders weren't in there. So, um,
And it's a different game when you're scrimmaging these guys for the whole week,
exactly.
right?
And you have a
You're
game, and
learning, you
there's a
learn their
game plan.
tendencies.
There's no traveling. Yeah.
There's no
So
game planning either. It's such a weird. The Snoopy Bowl is such a weird game to watch. Um, I don't know. I just hate the fans out there that are just so doom and gloom. It's Jeff fans. Everybody. It's highs or lows. There's never any nuance. There's never anything in between. It's really hard, especially with a team that hasn't won in so long. I mean, you had
yeah,
Giants fans and Jets fans going at. You had the second worst team of the decade making fun of the worst team of the last decade, right? So it's just
all
like,
because of a block. With
right.
like that was basically the second team offense versus a first team defense, or
I'm guilty of it. I posted
I mean, it
some
was a
triggering stuff,
look.
but
There was one guy I was looking for in the locker room, and that was it. Like,
yeah.
so yeah, like I mean, it's an interesting play. I mean, clearly
For those
he
not knowing, we're
knew who
talking
he was
about
blocking.
Abdul
Yeah,
Carter. Yeah,
yeah.
for everyone not watching, we're
Sorry,
talking about Abdul Carter getting thrown on his rear end twice by Stone Smart, and then I think it was
a
Okafor.
core or
Yeah,
yeah, or yeah.
I don't know how to say his last name.
I'm in between. Yeah, I think it's somewhere in between what we just had.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, he finished him off. Like, so those guys,
Yeah.
knew who that was. That's why it was interesting to me. Like, clearly, they weren't just going to let him have a normal rep, like,
Mm.
or an off rep there. And I thought it was a cool moment. But yeah, like, it's just interesting as Carter learns what it's like to be in this market where everything is under a microscope. Like the same lesson Brees and Sauce and Garrett, and you see how they kind of handle social media a little differently now. It'll be kind of interesting to see that, but it's such an overreaction season. And with Fields, like, let's not forget like what he was last year. And if it doesn't have to be like if you're expecting him to be a top 15 quarterback, that's just that would be a huge improvement over what he was. Like, you need him to be moderately better. There's still nothing that's happened where it's like he can't be moderately better with making choices, better with choosing when to use his feet, and be like the 20 to 25th best quarterback in the league instead of bottom 5. And you can win games that way. I mean, that's the odds are with this, which is it's a roll the dice signing, that you're going to fall in their best case anyway. Like, the idea of him becoming a top 15 quarterback would be almost a miracle when you look at guys who have started his career like he has coming into a new situation. I mean, even Sam Darnold like showed some signs before last year in Seattle, that he was heading in that direction. And maybe you could look at what Fields did last year as that, but um, I don't see it that way. I still think like he's trying to figure himself out, and if they can just see steady improvement all year, they can still be competitive, be around 500, win games, and then have like the whole offseason next year be like, what do we do? Because then half the Jets fans will be like, he's getting better. Half the Jets fans will be like, we need to draft a quarterback, and we can have that fun conversation. But um, I think that's like the most realistic outcome, and I don't think anything we've seen is like that can't happen.
It's also that they have to. I think Angstrom needs to build a system that plays to history. If they really want to win games, they can't force him into doing things that he is not. He does not excel at. And I mean, we were all questioning, they're going to be a run first. I'm not questioning, but everybody's like, oh, they're going to be a run first team, RPO. But we absolutely saw it on Saturday. They are going to run the ball, and run the ball, and then only pass when they absolutely have to. I don't care how we score touchdowns. I don't care if Justin Fields throws them. I don't care if he runs them in. 6 points is 6 points in my eyes. It does not matter. So play defense, run the ball, and you should be 500.
Yeah.
Wilson said it like 2 years ago. It should not, it shouldn't be this hard to score points.
I agree with you completely. I think it will look more like that week one. I think the biggest determining factor is going to be like how many of these throws. Like, I'm not saying like the easy bunnies. He does miss some of those, and it's going to happen. But I'm talking about how many of the throws that are like moderate throws is he going to get on target? And I really think that's going to be the difference at how this season is judged. I think if he's getting 2/3 of them in the right place, like they're going to have a good season. Because I do see signs of Engstrand like knowing what he's doing and um, being creative in ways that we haven't seen before. And a lot of that is hard to see on the preseason, like on preseason tape, because every team knows tape is going to be out there and they don't want it dissected. So I think we've seen some more things in practice that show that he kind of knows what he's doing. Now it hasn't worked out great against the defense, but um, it'll be interesting to see when it counts.
All right, last topic here, and that's going to be Arian Smith. He seems to he seems to be a good player. Yeah, I understand he had the drop, but if I have to pay one drop per game for more than 50 yards and a touchdown, like I'll take it. I I'll take it. There's no wide receiver two on this team, and I would not be surprised if by week 4 or 5 he solidified himself as a wide receiver too. As shocking as that is, we have a fourth rounder actually contributing. So, what are your thoughts on Smith so far?
Yeah, I think like before he gets to the point where like he's a true number two, there's a lot of refinement and we've seen improvement. Like even since the beginning of training camp, his route running has gotten better. But I think what you're saying is right because like there's a 50-50 shot that this dude's gonna catch the ball in stride and take it to the house 1 or 2 times the first 4 weeks. And if he does that, like he's going to be on the field, he's going to be looked at that way.
Mm-hmm.
And even if he's maybe not as reliable as those other guys, and the reps don't quite add up to number two, everybody's going to view him that way. And I think there is that potential. And I think it's like really easy to say this, like he bounced back from the drop and had a good game, and that is still a high like stakes situation. It's the first time playing at MetLife as a Jet. um, you do the thing that everybody is kind of worried you're going to do, and you're fighting for a role on this team. He's not fighting for his roster spot, but he's fighting for a role. And it could have been easy to like be like, oh, like I just kind of blew it
Shut
and
down.
mope. And yeah, not. And it was the opposite. And even later in the game, there was another one where like you would have liked him to catch that deep ball that Cook threw when he got crunched pretty good. And it was like a weird play. I wouldn't call it a drop. It was just a weird play, but he was still after that, engaged, and he's clearly working on it, and that's all you can ask from a guy. And I think, yeah, what you said, the explosive potential, all of that is really exciting, really there, and it does look like he's going to contribute. And it's not like even last year with Corley, like we didn't really see it in camp. We didn't see much in camp. Like we've seen way more from him, and
Mm-hmm.
him take advantage of stuff and make he against the Giants. I'm sure you saw the video, like the diving catch he made over the center of the field, jumping diving. Um, that's not a lot of guys can do that. And then you also mix that with his speed, and I think there's a big chance you're going to see something really cool in a game that matters.
Yeah. Just real quick, Malachi Corley, I think it was 2 snaps on special teams. I mean, he's gone, right? There's no way he's going to make this roster.
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know how he hasn't been involved in any way, shape, or form. He missed OTAs and has never gotten himself in the mix. Never done anything where it was like he even turned ahead in practice. Like usually, seeing him on the field, it's like, oh, he's on the field. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, you're looking at the first pick of the third round last year. I mean, it's just weird that
Different
it's worked
regimes
out.
see
Yeah,
different things, and
even
it
last
is what
year.
it
Yeah,
is.
even last
Yeah.
year was weird. Like obviously, something's not computing.
Right.
You know, across multiple coaching staffs now. So yeah, I don't. You know, guys like that don't usually end up on the practice squad either. So he'll probably get a fresh start somewhere else. There's obviously some potential there, but it does not. There like it. I'd put him very close to the bottom of the depth chart right now. And, have 7. I think I have 8 guys making the team ahead of him. So that you would never have thought that a year ago or at the beginning of the offseason program, but it's hard to see it any other way.
I know I said last topic on the other topic, but this is
No problem.
this is finally the last topic here. Martinez or Cook, who's the backup week 1? Because I don't think it's Tyrod. Arthroscopic knee surgery. I Who's the backup quarterback?
Yeah. Glenn has been pretty good about injuries, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say I think I think there's a good chance it's Tyrod. I think you'll have a good idea this week. I think they talk to some veterans, Peterman, and I'm forgetting the other guy,
Ugh.
CJ Beathard. I probably botched that name, but that's the other quarterback. I could see one of those guys. I'm guessing they would probably bring in a guy who has some experience. Um, if they're testing that market, that guy's probably going to get the backup job over one of the guys because they don't have any NFL snaps. But if I had to choose between the two, Martinez, um, it's just like he's played. Did I say his name wrong? I'm sorry. I'm losing my mind today.
Adrian Martinez?
Yeah, sorry. I thought for some reason I was
Nope.
like Adrian Martinez Hernandez. That's not. I don't know what's going on with my brain. I got thrown off by
You messed up
pronouncing CJ
you
Beathard's
thought you
name.
messed up the name
Yeah,
of the UFL MVP?
yeah. I'm losing my mind.
Yeah.
And we're it's too many guys on the roster for a month, and it scrambles my brain. Like
Was it
at
90?
91,
80
yeah,
something? 90. Oh god.
yeah. But I think he's had more experience. He had more snaps the other night. I think Cook actually played a little bit better at times the other night, but
Mm.
I think it's Adrian if it comes down to that.
All right, cool. Thanks for hanging out. Lots of good insight. I'll try and have you on again before week 1, and we will pray to the football gods that the Jets can eke out some sort of miraculous week 1 win, because week 1 is usually where things are totally up in the air and teams win games that shouldn't be winning games. So let's hope. Well, thanks, man. And if you guys want to follow him, I'll have his X page in the description of the video. Till next time.